We're taking Penstemon cuttings today on Pots and Trowels, and that's brought to you with the support of King Seeds and Cobra Garden. Hello and welcome to Pots and Trowels. Well, we're in the garden today and we're going to be looking at a Penstemon and taking some cuttings. But I just thought we'd have a quick look at the border because this was planted just about 12 months ago. It was planted last June and here we are now coming up to the middle of June this year. And everything has grown really well in that year. And I think partly it's because we had a mild winter. We've had an awful lot of rain, although at the moment the weather's quite cool, cooler than it should be for the time of the year. But things like this thalictrum here is just absolutely huge. It's really towering up there, and we've got lots of flowers to come in the borders with the veronicastrums. But one of my favourite shrubs at the moment is this one, and it will obviously grow much larger. It's still only a baby, but this one is Deutzia strawberry fields, and I just love those flowers. What beautiful colours. Nepeta has gone mad with the wet weather. It's just sprawled all over the place. This is a variety called Walker's Low, which shouldn't be as big as this. And when it's finished flowering, we will give it the chop and it will promote new growth from the centre and hopefully a second flush of flowers as we go down. This grass isn't growing as well as I thought it would do. It should be further on than this. So I think I need to give it a little bit of a feed to boost it. It's a type of miscanthus, but it will get to about this high and then it has the lovely sort of golden yellow flowers late summer through into the autumn. So that's one that I just need to give a little bit of TLC to. And all around the base of it, we've got all these Verbena bonariensis seedlings which have come off this plant at the back here from last year. So I will lift most of those. Some will go on the compost heap, but others I'll pot up and give to friends, or we'll put a few more around the garden. Again, geranium, Roseanne doing well, and another Nepeta here. This one we've had to hold back a little bit because it was flopping over the lawn and I couldn't get the lawnmower onto it. So it's just a very simple plant support in there just to hold it back. It's a bit like wearing a belt to hold your stomach in. And this little border again is filled out. This is the oxeye daisy that you see growing on the road verges and in wildflower meadows, and it's beautiful, it really is. We haven't planted it. It's a self-set seedling that I thought, well, I'll leave it to see what it does. But as you can see, it's gone completely mad. That's just one plant that is surrounding this yew here, and it's smothering lots of other things that are in there. So I'm going to let it flower, and then I'm going to take some seed off it. I will then dig it up, plant that out in the verge on the front, and also scatter the seed so we can enjoy lots of it out on the verge without it smothering here. And then we've got the lovely erigeron here that is doing good, and the little fleabane looking nice there. But this is the plant that we want to talk about, and this is a Penstemon here. This is one called Marjorie Fish. Marjorie Fish was a garden writer well known in the 40s and the 50s, and she lived at East Lambrook Manor in Somerset, and this was named after her. She sort of pioneered the modern cottage garden movement, so very well known, and it's a beauty. I bought this from an open garden, a national garden scheme last year, put it in the garden, and it's doing really well, and it's flowered for now several weeks, and it's going to continue. It will need a little bit of deadheading shortly. 1 or 2 flowers are just going over, but it will then continue to flower all the way through the summer. And it's quite a tough one as well, one of the hardier ones with these small flowers. And I just love them because they sort of start off bluey and go to a lilac-y mauve colour, so that they change. But what I want to do is to get a few more plants growing of these, and it will grow very easily from cuttings. So I've got my little knife just here, and if I look down inside the centre here, we can see there are lots of little side shoots that aren't flowering. That's a really good one in there. So that is a perfect cutting, and I can trim that, reduce it in size and pop it in some compost. So I'm just going to take myself a few little cuttings from here, and then what we'll do is we'll pop into the greenhouse. Get that one there. So that's 4 cuttings. I always like to do an odd number, so I'm going to take that one there, which gives me 5. The good thing about Penstemons is they're really easy to propagate from cuttings, and they're not always long-lived. So it means that if you can take a few cuttings off your plant when it's really healthy, then you've got some spares should anything happen to that one over the winter, or they're just good to give away. So I'm going to pop those to the greenhouse. Now, if you're out and about and somebody gives you some cuttings from their garden, it's worth having a little bag with you. And this one, I've just put a little bit of water in it because they will wilt very quickly on a warm summer's day. So you can keep them nice and fresh like that. And also, if you can't deal with them straight away, another little tip is, when you get home, pop that in the fridge and they'll stay fresh for a day or two before you can deal with them. So I'm going to disappear into the greenhouse and show you how to take the cuttings. Okay, so I've got the cuttings here now, so we can start to prepare them. And it's really, really simple. You can use little snips if you want. I prefer to use a knife, but it doesn't matter which way you do it. And what we're doing is what we call a nodal cutting, so they are nice and fresh. We don't want long cuttings, so we need to trim them down a little bit. So I'm just going to take some of these lower leaves off. We don't want too many leaves on because otherwise they lose water. And then we can see here where the leaves were. So that's the leaf joint, or what we call the node. So I'm just very carefully using my sharp knife going to cut just underneath there like that. So that's just made a nice clean cut. And what you could do, if you think there's still too many leaves on there, just trim them back like that. So that is the cutting. And all I've got here is a small pot, bit of compost in there, multi-purpose compost. Just going to make a hole, pop that in and lightly firm it. So I'm just going to prepare the others and then we can take them over there, put them on the bench and water them in. There we go, we'll finish off a label so we know what the cuttings are, and then we can put them on the propagator now where they'll root. Tomatoes are growing like mad, by the way, since we last came in. I just love the smell of them when you brush by. Can't wait until we get the fruit. So here we are on the propagating bench here. Now don't worry if you haven't got a greenhouse or a propagator. These will root really, really easily if you put them on a windowsill. Just don't do it on a sunny windowsill. A shady windowsill is fine. I'm just going to give them a drop of water just to settle them in, because we need to keep that compost nice and moist, and they will be fine. But what you can also do, and this will be fine because I've got some shading, but if they are on a windowsill and they're prone to drying out, to keep them nice and turgid and so they don't wilt, what you can do is two things. One is you can every day just give them a mist. So I always give these cuttings on this bench just a mist over to keep the humidity there. Once or twice a day is fine. Or you can just get a polythene bag, the same polythene bag we pop them into, and just put that over like that. And that creates a little mini propagator over them as well. And that will steam up and keep that humidity there. And they should root in about 3 to 4 weeks time. Don't keep pulling them out. Wait until they start to grow. And then what we can do is pop them up into some bigger pots and grow them on and get lovely plants for free. Thank you for watching Pots and Trowels. And remember, all the videos we've done you can find on YouTube, and don't forget our weekly podcasts that you can get from your normal provider.
Have all these bulbs at some point been planted?
They do multiply. So if you plant a single daffodil bulb, they produce what we call daughter bulbs. And we'll be back again next week with more from the garden. So we'll see you then. Bye.